My name is John Lord and I'm going to talk about bamboo today for people who are bamboozled by bamboo, frustrated by Fargesia and flummoxed by Phyllostachys. Now this one here, as it happens, is a Phyllostachys, and how you know Phyllostachys bamboos is one side is curved and the other side is flat, and then when you go above the joint it switches around. The other side is flat and the other side to that is curved. So it goes up the switch. That's how you know Fargesia, and if you know it once, you know it forever. Now if you notice something about this Fargesia, it's very leany over, because it is the leany over Fargesia vivax. Now in Ireland it will hit up to 30 feet, but in warmer climates where they grow for much longer, it can be used for scaffold poles. It makes a very large bamboo, but it is about the best of the large bamboos for Ireland if you have the space, because it leans over. Now I want to tell you how to grow bamboos. You have to know about how bamboos grow, because bamboos are very, very unusual. Now look at this birch tree. See this birch tree? 1 year grew from a seed, 1 year it was there, second year it grew to there, third year here, fourth year there, fifth year maybe 20 years. Every year it adds a bit onto the year before. Now bamboos are different. People don't realise this. You see that? That growth, that's all 1 year. In fact, it's not all 1 year, it's 3 to 4 months. A bamboo does all its growth in the 1 year. So if you have a bamboo that's 50 foot tall, that's a season's growth. So it doesn't put on incremental growth. Now when a bamboo is young and it hasn't much root stock, it only can grow that much in a year. Following year, a different shoot will grow this much. Following year, a different shoot again. But it's always done in the 1 year. Now this is a Phyllostachys and it's a running bamboo, but unlike a lot of running bamboos, it is controllable, and the reason why is because it sets out very few runners each year. Now what's a runner? Now a runner is not a plant that hops out of the ground and runs down the road. A runner is a plant that goes under the ground or over the ground. Strawberries are runners, they go over the ground, you can see them. Bamboos run under the ground, so they can't be seen. So that's why you never plant a bamboo against a wooden fence if your neighbour is next door, because your neighbour will get a free bamboo and he mightn't like bamboo. But the reason this is good, it's because it's controllable, because it sets out very few runners each year and they're easy to control. This is one I'd recommend if you have space. Phyllostachys vivax aureocaulis. And what you do with them, you see this? If you want to show off the stems, you take the bottom ones away. And this one here, it's got out of hand, it's gone too leany. So we'll take it out. Now let's see. I've bitten off more than I can chew. You can see. Now, never bit me. There. There's a bamboo cane for you, sir. Make a nice fishing rod. You see this bamboo, there's lots of bare ground underneath, and what we are doing is we're taking ferns, any seedling ferns we find around the place, we dig up and we put around like this. And there's a big one there, because it makes a nice pleasing effect, gives a nice pleasing effect. Now here's something interesting here. That's a reversion back to the proper. In nature they would always be green, and it's reverted back to its natural colour. But that's the colour we like, because humans are a bit like magpies, they like the bright colours. This bamboo here is another Phyllostachys, and I like it. It's Phyllostachys aureosulcata, and I like it because, unlike the other one I talked about, it's straight up. And this is the one you use for screening, and we are using it to screen our multi-span polytunnel from the gardens. Now it's there about 4 years, and it's doing okay. It's very wet here because it gets all the water from the gutters and it's able to hold its own in the wetness. Now, it does throw out the wayward canes. You see them? These are the wayward ones. So what we do once a year, or maybe twice a year, nip them off here. Nip them off at the base. See? There's another one here. That's it. That's it. See? We boil them up tonight for bamboo shoots. No, we won't actually. And here's another cane here. Now, once again, this Phyllostachys should not be planted if your neighbour and you are separated by a wooden fence, because it will go in. So it's only if there's a concrete wall between the two of you, but it is the best bamboo of them all for general screenage. That's Phyllostachys aureosulcata. Aureosulcata, I mixed that up because there's two types. There's aureosulcata aureocaulis and there's aureosulcata spectabilis. But it is better than Phyllostachys aurea. I've grown both and I find this is the best one. It will eventually hit about this height. Now you see that cane there? That one there? That's a fresh cane. That appeared about 2 months ago. That's 2 months growth. See the height of it in 2 months? That's not a long distance runner. That's the 100 yards, man. And that's the thing about bamboos. When they're happy, they will make a lot of growth very quickly and bang, then they stop. Now, a few other things about bamboos. Bamboos, when they're newly planted, are very susceptible to water loss. And if they run short of water, they're not like ordinary plants. They don't wilt like this. What happens is the leaves roll up like you would roll a cigarette paper. And then all of a sudden, if you don't rectify the situation, the entire top growth of the bamboo completely dies. Completely. So you end up with nothing except what's below the ground, and you have to wait for a few years for it to get going again. So it's very important when a bamboo is young or when a bamboo is newly planted to water it well. And in particular, the worst month is, believe it or not, March. It's in March where most people, because there's a lot of rain around, they don't think they need to water their bamboos. But bamboos can just go like that in March, and I've seen it happen time and time again. We're going to talk as best we can about the other types of bamboos, the Fargesias. Now these are they're known as the clump formers. They don't run like mad. Now, they still run. There is a common misapprehension of bamboos that there's ones that behave themselves, there's ones that don't. That's not quite true. All bamboos, no matter how well behaved, still move along in the ground and eventually will get too big. Now this is one of the best behaved bamboos there is. It's here about we'd say 5 years, maybe 6 years, and look, it's starting to move. That's Fargesia nitida, and it's really, really gorgeous, really, really elegant. And that's one that's often recommended, but as you can see, it is still quite a handful. Now what I do, if it gets out of hand, I get a chainsaw, and I don't do this at home, and I cut it way in with the chainsaw and start it off again. And then in the center of it, there's a lot of dead bits. I take the dead bits out. I do that maybe once every 10 years. So if you're living in your house for 30 years, you have to do it 3 times. I'm just going to talk about bamboos that we will never sell. Some places will sell them, but we will never sell them, because if you get them into your garden and if they establish, they will be there forever. They are very hard to get rid of and they run like mad. This is Sasa palmata. Any bamboo with Sasa in it should be avoided. There may be 1 or 2 that are semi-house trained, but by and large, if it says Sasa, avoid it. This Sasa palmata, it's a very large, look, it's a very large leaf. It's lovely bamboo, but you will not control it. It will run and run and run in every direction. And the other one is Pseudosasa japonica. Now it's Pseudosasa, but it has Sasa in it. Once upon a time it was called Arundinaria japonica. It was the first bamboo to come into the British Isles, and it did huge damage to the reputation of bamboos. It didn't really recover for 100 years afterwards, because when you mentioned bamboos, people just said japonica and didn't want to know. It came into England in about mid 1800s, and it ran riot in gardens up and down the country, and people had their fill of bamboos really until the 60s and 70s when they started to, when the newer ones came in. But anything with Sasa or Pseudosasa, avoid. It's getting warm. I'm glad I brought this. Subscribe to my channel, I've been told, for more information and tips. And that's really it. I don't know what subscribe means. In the olden days, you got a subscription out to join a club or something, but so I don't actually know what it means, but that's seemingly what you say today.